Recording. Okay. All right, guys. Welcome to blah, blah, blah. Let's try that one more time. Hey, guys. It's Mike at Narxoleptic Customs. We're here with Scott and Chris with Express Rally for Narxoleptic Customs podcast number 15. Cannot believe we've done this so many times now.
That's why we're having fun. Right?
Yeah, right. I tell you, it's amazing we get through all this so quickly. So,
Big 5.
yeah, right. We're going to visit with these guys tonight, go over a bunch of the kind of their story leading up to Express Rally and how they became car guys, and then also what Express Rally is and how to get involved, and basically the amount of fun that goes on with that stuff is tremendous. So we've been on a few, and we'll tell those stories probably a little bit later in the podcast here. So, all right. So, but in you guys were talking about in episode 1 of your podcast, which is Express Rally Podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That you guys met at the movie for one of the Fast and Furious.
Yeah, I think it's 2015.
By my math,
met.
I'm putting it together. I think that was the first charity car show I did.
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
Yeah. If it's not right, that's the lie we're going to tell anyways.
Yeah.
So you're welcome. You're welcome for
Yeah.
bringing you guys together.
We met there. A couple of the kind of core, I think, rally people met for the first time there. Because I think a couple months after that, we were planning our first event, and it was just an event that was going on a couple months before, so we were able to recognize some of the cars and people that
That's
were
awesome.
going and kind of met at that time. So, yeah, you're completely 100% responsible.
I mean,
for
you know,
everything.
I like to take credit for that. So.
I remember from that you brought out, what was it, like the little pedal bikes?
Yep,
and
tracks.
you had a
Yep.
drag tree. And
Yep.
people were having a blast, just absolutely
Yep.
going for it on these little
We
bikes.
were going to bring that back, but fucking coronavirus
Yeah.
killed the Fast and Furious 9 show to get started. So
I can't believe they delayed it a year.
I mean,
Yeah.
that means they needed it, really.
Yeah.
Well,
probably.
like my dad and I go see movies together frequently.
Yeah.
We're pretty jazzed about the new Bond movie coming out.
Oh my God.
And so they delayed that one too, and it was like, a month or two. No, they pushed it from April to like November.
Bastards.
So
Right back in the middle of flu season.
yeah,
For next year.
it'll be
I'm looking
fun.
forward to it though, because like everything moved to September, October. I'm just gonna take that off from
Yeah.
work and just be
Just
like,
watch
sorry
movies."
guys, I got car stuff.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
all of the car stuff.
Yeah.
We have our April ERE6 event coming up, and that's like one of our introductory events for
Yep.
people that are just trying to get a feel for what Express Rally is all about. So we've never had to postpone or cancel an event before, and it's been quite the ordeal going through rescheduling with the hotel, with the
Right.
go-kart track, just all that stuff. And I think that we have a solution figured out, but what I found comical was the hotel was emailing me last week about it, and they were like, well, you can reschedule for any weekend before May or before the end of May.
Oh, you're like,
And I'm like, that's
gonna
not
work.
going to help us any, especially if we're on this whole 6 to 8 week thing, and we are going to shoot for the first weekend in June, but even that could potentially be up in the air. So
Yep.
it's, we'll see what happens, but yeah, it's kind of wreck and shop on everyone's plans.
Now,
right
what's that do for you? You've got other events in June, though, that you typically do,
Yeah,
right?
we have an off-road event. We have an adventure series event then. So those two
I mean, they wouldn't really
participant
cross
bases aren't going to cross over a great deal, and they'll be a couple weeks apart.
over. Yeah.
So we'll see, but it's still, from a business perspective, just
Yeah.
from a cash flow management and event planning and everything else, it does have an effect on things. So you
Yeah.
just, like everyone else, you do the best you can,
Yeah.
and
And
go
it
down
limits
the road.
our fun in April, damn it.
Yeah. Well, we could always do like a Corona cruise
Yeah.
where we just get together. I think our
Yeah.
friends from Tulsa Caffeine and Gasoline did something similar where they just organized a drive where it was like, we're gonna meet at this point.
Nobody get
No
out of your
one's
car.
gonna get out of their car, and we're gonna leave at this time and go on a route. And then when we're done, everyone goes home.
That's
So
awesome.
I was like, that could be fun.
Yeah, we
could
do something like that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think it'll be good because a lot of people, it's finding the silver lining in a lot of these things. Like still go outside. You can still, you have these project
Yeah.
cars, like for me, there's things that I need to finish on my car, and I'm like, all right, well, today's not horrible. That just needs more time in the garage. So,
and working from home, and I know my boss is listening to this, so I did not work out in the shop any at all today except to clean, and that was after 4:30. So I know he'll be like, yeah, right, you lying bastard. But that's really what happened. As the weeks go on and we work from home, I was talking to Chris a few minutes ago about figuring out some move to get Wi-Fi out here, so maybe I can plug my laptop in and watch the emails from here. So
it's going to be very interesting. Just everybody having to work differently than a lot of people are used to. Your hobbies are taking different track. We had talked a little bit before we started recording about maybe esports just blows up now because a lot of the racing series, all those drivers are moving over to like iRacing or all these other venues that you can set up, in your house, and you can compete against these F1 drivers, these NASCAR drivers.
Do you guys listen to the Dale Jr. podcast, Dale Earnhardt Jr.?
I do not.
I do not.
Listen, I'm telling you, he's hilarious. But way back when, he had a whole setup in his, like he had a spare bedroom in his house, and he had a whole setup. Like they got new computers every year, and like whoever his roommates were, they all raced all night on these tracks they were going to. And so it's pretty neat. So, all right. So let's start off with cars because that's obviously what brings us all together. So let's have Chris start because he's had some super neat stuff. I know you've had neat stuff too. I was listening to the podcast too. I think
we have eclectic tastes. As we'll learn through this, is we've kind of got a different tracks, but we kind of have the same love, just you. The cars that you have, and Stanley and everything. So, so I've had an interesting fleet. Currently, I actually drove tonight the 2000 Toyota Echo beater car.
We're going to put pictures of that in the YouTube video.
For those that aren't aware, whatever, it rained fairly substantially here today, and one of the door seals is not so great on it. I have approximately 2 inches of water in the passenger footwell currently. Oh my God,
that's awesome.
Which was great because I didn't know until my wife rode with me to go run some errands, and she got a bow wave of water down her shoes.
Oh, that's awesome.
At least the driver's side's perfectly dry. So but it was a $500, $400 purchase car we did in one of our, we used to call it the beater bash. The car wasn't actually supposed to make it all the way through, like it's kind of the intent. And it did, and it's 220,000 miles. I drive it all the time because my other cars are not as fuel efficient. And it gets, probably 40 miles per gallon. And it's a hoot to drive. It's maybe 80 horsepower on a good day.
And it's a go-kart.
Yeah, it's a blast. Like, you just go whipping around the corners. The suspension shot in it. So you kind of got to lead into it. So I normally work about 3 or 4 miles from under normal circumstances. So my daily driver is actually the electric motorcycle.
Yes.
So when the weather's nice, it's not raining or whatever, I have a 2017 Zero DS, which is their dual sport. It basically looks like a dirt bike.
Awesome.
And I got it a year ago, and I put 5,000 miles on it, just going the 3 miles back and forth and around town, running errands and stuff.
So hang on, we got to talk about that for a minute because that's like that intrigues me because of like the distance I drive, right? So, I mean, Chris is a big guy. You're 6'3", probably.
Yeah, I'm 6'2", about 275 pounds.
Right. I mean, this bike probably has the torque you need to. I mean, it's not wimpy.
Yeah. So for those that aren't familiar with them, Zero's the company. That's actually the brand of it. They're made in California. They've been around for 12 or 13 years, which I was even surprised. I didn't realize that. They've been making basically the same bike in different iterations every year as batteries have gotten better. I found out about them. The nearest dealer to us is in Kansas City, which was interesting too, is when I was buying it, he's like, well, it's nice meeting you. We'll never see you again. I was like,
okay.
Yeah. And they're like, no, honestly, that's why Zero motorcycles don't have a huge brand, is because no dealer wants to sell them because they literally have no maintenance.
No service.
They're like, we sell it, and then we never see you again.
And I mean, with the right tires, you're riding that thing 10,000 miles and not needing tires or anything.
Yeah. It's equivalent of like a 650cc bike, so kind of a mid-level bike.
Yeah.
It has the torque of a 1200cc bike.
I'm going to have to ride this thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It has no gearbox. It's direct drive.
Yep.
So you basically have battery, motor, the controller, and then a belt drive to so no clutch, no shifting.
I guess that makes sense, because you're applying power through through the controller.
It's, not to be cliche, but it's the Tesla of motorcycles. I mean, it's just very
Without
simple.
all the fancy gadgets.
Yeah. So I got it, like I said, a year ago. I love driving it everywhere. It's actually, to me, it feels like a powered mountain bike.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's got the suspension like that. I'm really, really tempted. We have a lot of mountain biking trails around here. I would like to go deviate, but I don't think people would appreciate that. So,
No, let's not do that.
Yeah.
Unless it's been dry for several weeks, then probably stay off of it. But
yeah. But so I have the electric bike that is my normal commuter. I have something called an Exoset, which I've had for a number of years, which maybe was part of the consideration of the Narx cart. Maybe not. I don't know.
Yep, we're going to blame it on it for sure.
So it's based on a Miata platform. It's made by a company in Atlanta, Georgia called Automotive.
Yep.
I got a $500 Miata, 93 Miata, made it a donor car. And it's, if you go look at the website or whatever, it's basically a tube frame Miata.
Yeah.
I love taking it. It's basically a track car.
Yep. So you pull the Miata parts off and put on this frame.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, literally I'll share some pictures with you if you want or whatever, but we didn't even have to take the wheels off. We drove the Miata into the garage, unbolted, unplugged everything, and then used an engine hoist to pull the 800-pound body off of the full drivetrain. And then me and another gentleman literally dropped the frame right onto
where it was.
Yeah,
That's
250 pounds, bolt it all back up. If you're not really good with electrical or whatever, you can literally just plug everything back in.
Yeah.
Factory
took it
plugs.
all apart. That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's it's turned into the track car.
Yeah.
Just because it's cheap to operate, which is, I got it because the next car is, I have a 2011 Cadillac CTS-V wagon.
Yes.
I call it Cadzilla. It dynoed recently, about 920 horsepower. Runs on E85. And my background, we haven't really talked about it all, but I work in IT. A lot of times I don't have to drive very far or anything, so I can make horrible car choices like this. I think it gets like 8 miles per gallon on a good day.
That's if you're out of it and
Yeah.
easing around.
Yeah,
and it's a manual car. So,
Yeah, it's a manual car. When you get on it, you could literally watch the tank go dry as you drive it, but life's short.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have that car. Now it's kind of my rally vehicle. It's kind of what I built it up for. Is we started to do different rallies that span longer distances, like we've done ones that go to the West Coast or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have a driver car then.
So if you're not familiar with the V series from Cadillac, they sell most of them in Texas. It is the most Texas car you can think of because it handles okay, but it's 4,400-pound car, very similar to Corvette. I'm sure a lot of your listeners are familiar with it, but it's best going about hypothetically around 120.
Yep.
Straight line, comfortable, seat heat on or seat coolers on. I've had people riding it and literally just fall asleep in the passenger seat or whatever.
At 100.
And it's just
a Cadillac.
chugging along.
Yep. That's awesome.
So I don't get to drive it during the week that often, but it's a lot of fun. So I have kind of a myriad. I've kind of tried to fill every niche.
I would say so.
And I've been very fortunate to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are the cars that I have, and then Scott takes it a completely different direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a Toyota enthusiast.
Yep.
I have been even my fun cars, except for about two, have all been Toyota or Lexus products. But currently I have a 100 series Toyota Land Cruiser. That's kind of my daily driver, which is actually having some work done and is for sale. I think it's going to go to someone else inside the Express Rally family.
Oh,
so
cool.
Excited about that. And then I have an 80 series Toyota Land Cruiser that has been completely restored and modified for our off-road and overlanding events. So it's got everything.
It's awesome.
Everything from the rooftop tent to
Yeah.
killer suspension. I mean everything. Anything you could want on there is
Bumpers, wheels, tires.
Yeah, is on
Rear
it.
tire bracket. I mean, it's awesome. There'll be some pictures up we'll post. And
Yeah, we built it to kind of be a promotional vehicle for that part of the brand. And then beyond that, the car that I'll drive on rallies or drive when Chris and I are just kind of going out, on a fun drive or scouting some routes is we have a Miata RF, And we actually bought that car a few years ago for my wife to drive on rallies.
Yeah.
And I'd never owned a Miata before. Wasn't that big of a fan of them. And
Because of the stigma, or because you just didn't feel that?
I just didn't. I just hadn't. I had not owned anything that was in the light, chuckable.
Oh yeah. Yep.
You know, not extremely overpowered family of vehicles.
Yeah.
I had just never. My background was predominantly Toyota Supras,
Yep.
several Mark IV Supras, SC300s, which essentially is Supra.
Yep.
All single turbo.
Yep.
I'd had V8 cars, so big, fast sedans,
Yep.
everything from Cadillacs to the 5.0 Hyundai Genesis sedan, dramatically underrated car.
Yeah.
And
There was a Mercedes wagon at one point,
Yeah.
short-lived.
yeah, I had
GT500 Mustang.
Yeah.
Right?
I've had stuff that was higher horsepower.
Yeah.
And so getting into that car, my wife liked it because she liked the way that it looked.
Oh yeah.
And when we bought it, it was one of the first RFs that landed in Northwest Arkansas.
And it's like, so some of these folks understand it's hardtop, looks
Yes.
hardtop, but it's Targa, right?
Yeah, retractable hardtop. So
Oh, dang.
it is it's a really cool car.
Yeah.
And I have really enjoyed driving it.
That's
And
awesome.
in its stock form, it's just tons of fun. And it's also, I mean, you can get out there and have fun on 23 or any of the roads you
Yeah.
want, and you're
Because
gonna
you're
really
carrying
enjoy
so
it.
much speed in that car.
Yeah,
It's not.
It's just a blast, and
heavy
I
and-
understand it.
Yeah.
I understand why people like them. It's not modified whatsoever. I would love to do some suspension work to it, just some
She's like,
coilovers,
nope.
just and see what it does after that. But yeah, that's gonna get vetoed.
That's awesome.
So my that is mine / my wife's. You know,
There you go.
Mostly his
car.
wives.
So, yeah.
she doesn't really drive it anymore. We had twins last year, so she finds herself more in her. She has a Lexus RX 350, the
Yeah.
mom car that she drives
Yeah, I
all
was
the
gonna say
time.
that's totally mom.
So that's it. We have those 4 vehicles. Like I said, the 100 series Land Cruiser is going away, and it is going to get replaced. But I'm not
Yeah.
going to say what it's going to be replaced by.
Is it gonna be something fun, or is
Yeah.
it gonna be something more like?
It'll be
a
fun.
100 or is it
No,
something-
it'll be
Maybe in the
something
Toyota
fun.
family. Maybe.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
We'll see. It's an
Yeah.
ongoing discussion we have, and I think I have it narrowed down on what I
Yeah.
want to do. But you know, we will see what happens. But that's what I've got now.
That's
And
awesome.
I mean, now we also have to consider they're doing 0% interest rates, and the
Oh,
car
yeah.
market's going to be crazy in the next couple months.
Yeah.
As they're
Yeah.
wanting to get cars.
Well, and
out the
as
door.
as those dealer groups start leaning on the manufacturers to sell some of the cars they've had in stock for 8 months, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
We had a conversation on part of our discussion is how amazing the car culture is, whether you're into muscle cars, street
Oh, yeah.
cars, hot rods, whatever. It's insane right now. Like,
Yeah. When Toyota enters a market, and like when they finally give up and go, "Hey, let's build another Supra," like stuff's coming because like
Yeah.
they are so I don't know, safe with all
Yeah.
the stuff they
They're
do. So
conservative, extremely conservative.
Yeah.
And you know, they always kind of place the financial piece,
yeah,
especially with respect to the R&D investment and what that's going to yield on the other side into their cars, and that's why you see these cars that are co-developed with other companies. You know,
Yeah,
it
makes
minimizes their risk, they're sharing cost, makes the overall production investment and the risk on that a little bit lower, and
Yeah.
so you end up with collaborations. But I don't think you'll meet very many people that would tell you that the cars that have been developed as a result of that are not good cars.
right.
They're phenomenal.
Yeah,
Like
it's not like a
the FRS
Toyota
and
Corolla
BRZ
Chevy Cruiser.
are great. They're wonderful cars for for enthusiasts. The Supra is the same.
Yeah.
I mean, you have people that are the Supra purists that say that
Oh,
it's
yeah.
garbage because of the power plant. But
Man.
if I'm picking another company to develop a sports car with, you
yeah.
could make much poorer choices
Yeah,
than
yeah.
BMW.
Oh, for sure.
Not to mention a lot of the people complaining have never even owned one of the Mark IV Supras. So it's like coming from someone who's owned those cars, I can tell you they're fun and they're cool.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the dynamics and driving it,
Yeah.
I have no doubt that the new car is better.
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
It's technology. It's just changed. So.
I mean, you got the new Mustang GT500, which they're pitting against the new Corvette, the C8 Corvette,
Yeah.
mid-engine.
Yeah.
I mean, just the things that you can go out and buy for, let's say, hypothetically, 60 grand
Yeah.
are amazing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I mean, you take even a couple like the Gallardos and stuff. I mean, you're right there in the mix of that kind of money.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And even the used car market. Let's say you have 15 grand, you can get a extremely capable car or truck or whatever you want for 15 grand. Like, I'm kind of jealous of people, nowadays that are younger that potentially have the opportunity to get that stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm not knocking being able to have the stuff that I do. It's been nice.
It's a good time to be an enthusiast. I think from a car buying perspective, but also just from, the area that we live in. There's so much going on here for everybody, whether you like shows or you like driving or anything.
I was thinking about this the other day. It was like, used to, like, there were 5 shows a year, and like the old guys had always been putting them on. And anytime the young guys tried to do something, it was like, oh, you're crazy. What are you doing? You're treading on our turf, blah, blah, blah. But with Facebook now and Instagram and all that stuff, people can do anything they want anytime. So it's been awesome.
Yeah.
And I think Northwest Arkansas is finally catching that wind that things are going to come and things are going to happen. So
yeah, kind of going back to when we talked about how we met each other and stuff. Like when I moved to the area, I lived in Northwest Arkansas probably 10 or 15 years. Yeah. It was a ghost town of, you would every once in a while see a cool car, but there was no cars and coffee. This wasn't. If you saw somebody, you're like, hey, that's cool, whatever.
Right.
The culture in this area, there were a lot of people who had cool cars, but they couldn't necessarily show off their cool cars. And that has changed dramatically in the last 5 or 10 years, which has been awesome. I mean,
all the kids that grew up with Facebook are now adults with Facebook, and it makes it easier to do shows and things like that.
I mean, you do a lot of the charity stuff, which is awesome. We try to support those as much as we can. We talked before about our friends in Tulsa.
First
we have
weekend of December.
People in Springfield, Missouri. I mean, pretty much every weekend, if the weather's decent, and even when it isn't, there's somewhere to go. There's something to be engaged in, which is awesome.
Yep. And if there was some stuff like that back then, I didn't know about it. I don't know. So,
it didn't exist.
Yeah, it didn't for sure. And if you came across it, nobody was telling you, hey, it's going to be here next weekend or 2 weeks from now or whatever. So let's stay on cars for just a second. What was y'all's first car?
My first car was a 1990 Honda Accord EX.
Boring.
Yeah. I had an 88 Jeep Cherokee.
That's a little better.
I was so excited the first time I got it to go 85 miles an hour, and I thought like it was going to implode.
That's dangerous.
Yeah.
So that truck at 85 is definitely not safe.
Yeah, it was a little sketchy.
Yeah. Now the Honda, that's somebody's probably around 130, no problem, just cruise right along.
Yeah, it was great until 30 days after I bought it. I found out that it burned like 4 quarts of oil every month.
Hey, at least you had an oil light.
So I just constantly added oil. It was like every other fill up, check the oil and add it. Like
that's awesome.
I had to borrow money from my dad to buy it. Of course, he made me sign a promissory note and make payments on time and all that stuff. And he's like, hey, whatever goes wrong on this,
it's yours.
You're fixing it. So take your time researching it, find the right car and all that. And I bought one that sucked. So
you're
I learned that lesson.
What am I doing? Think about that. Yeah. A 90 Honda Accord. I mean, that car is supposed to be the most reliable car
the safest bet you can
history. Make. Yeah. And yours burns a gallon of oil every 3 months. It was rough,
but I drove that through high school, and then when I went to college, he rewarded me for making payments on time and good grades and all that stuff. And
that's cool.
So he sent me to college in something a little bit more reliable. But it was no, it was not.
That's awesome.
No, it's funny. My dad is not a car guy whatsoever. Does not understand. He appreciates but doesn't understand. I remember when I bought the first Supra that I owned. It was after right after I graduated, got my job.
Mm-hmm.
And he and my mom came out to see me. At that time, I wasn't living in Arkansas, and I showed him the car, and he was just like, you know, it was a '94 Supra,
Sweet.
and he was, because I told him what I paid for it. He was just confused. He's like,
Why?
"Why would you pay that much for any car?"
Now, what year is this?
2008.
Okay, so this car's like,
14 years old.
yeah. He's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. 16 years old. Wait, whatever. Math.
Yeah.
It's old. And he just doesn't understand it.
Yeah.
And now he's just numb to the fact that I'm going to spend
Do
money
what
on
you want,
cars.
yeah.
And, he doesn't care. It's not his problem.
That's awesome.
But my enthusiasm did not come from spending time in the garage with my dad
Yep.
or anything like that. He is an extremely frugal man, always has been. And, I think I got the financial acumen from him, but
There you
not
go. Well,
much of
that's
it.
rewarded you well in life,
Yeah.
as far as like your career and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've done okay.
Now you spend all your extra money and all this stuff and create a business around car stuff.
Yeah, the idea when I started it was I wanted to use my hobby to pay for my hobby.
100%. Yeah.
My wife was, when we were dating and I had my Shelby GT500 and I had 2 motorcycles and I had forget what I was daily driving then, it might have been another Land Cruiser, but it was just like, why are you spending all of this money on
You're like,
car
because I
stuff?"
got it and I'm young.
And, so that, we reprioritized, obviously
yeah.
starting a family and all that other stuff happened, but it doesn't work. Like I will tell you, I don't do Express Rally because it prints me money.
No.
All you have to do is look at what we charge in the events and everything else and how methodically we've kind of grown.
Yeah.
Like everything that the business generates just goes right back into it
Yep.
in one form or fashion. Like
Well, and I mean, like an outsider, like I'm not obviously not in y'all's meetings and stuff about the business, but like just knowing what I know about putting events on, and I can't imagine the level of stuff, the planning that goes to. Because I mean, I would think that, and I think I've heard you say this, but you're planning stuff a year and a half, 2 years out.
yeah, and we're
Especially now because you've got, how many events do you do a year?
like 10.
Damn, you're crazy.
You just literally it all comes down to, you were talking about like the meetings.
Yep.
Meetings for us is we meet for lunch once in a while.
Yep.
We'll
Yeah.
grab a burger and we just talk about what would I want to do if I was going to go take my car out with some friends
Yeah.
and do something.
Yep.
So we recently did one we called the ER Cup, which was literally
Yeah.
went to 4 different karting tracks
That's awesome.
in Dallas, just because I was like, hey Scott, I think it would. We've done karting in some of our other events, but we
Yep.
haven't done like full on
Like a
karting.
full on, yep.
And so it literally came down to that. He's like, it sounds like fun. Let's do it. And
Yeah.
so we did that first time this year. The Beater Bash one, when we were doing those, I was like, it'd be fun just to
Yeah.
get a $500
Tear
car
stuff up,
and
yeah.
just be a hooligan,
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun with that. A lot of the track planning or the routes that we take.
Oh yeah.
The secret is we literally are driving the roads that we would drive if it was just us.
Yeah.
And we bring other people into that. That's,
Yep.
and it happens to pay for our gas and lets us have fun.
Well,
and
and
that's what it
there's
is.
probably, I would think, there's probably a lot of like younger folks that are on these that have never even been out that way. They've never driven Highway 23 all the way to 40. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we get a lot of people that I think now they know our reputation, so they
Yep.
sign up for our events because of the videos or the photos, and they have an expectation when they sign up that we're going to deliver a certain type of experience.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so we always take that really seriously, and we're in the type of business where I can't rip someone off.
Right.
I wouldn't be in business the
Yep.
next month if I charged people X amount for an event and then they showed up and
And
it
you-
wasn't worth that.
And you gave them a shitty experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you that's not a good way to do business first and foremost,
Right.
but it also doesn't help you in building a brand. And
No.
when you're starting out to do something like this, you have to have a consistent experience, and you have to build a brand that's respectable in order for people to take you seriously.
And leave on time.
Yeah. There are a ton of automotive events.
Yeah.
And there are a ton of automotive events that are poorly planned and executed.
100%.
I was on them.
Yeah.
And so that's really
I've hosted a few.
The genesis of it all was kind of like, I can do this, and I can do it better.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the experiences and stuff we've had have been amazing.
I'm glad to hear that, because we do work really hard to make sure that everything from the T-shirt you receive and the route card that you have is of the utmost quality.
Yep.
And we see that through from the communication when you sign up for the event all the way through to the photos that you receive weeks afterwards. And I think that we've done a good job at it because we've grown so much. And honestly, it's allowed us to move past, Northwest Arkansas. Like we've been able to do events on the West Coast, in the Pacific Northwest. And so we're getting to share all these experiences and do all this bucket list stuff with our friends.
While we're talking about locations, are we ever going east?
Yes.
We're going to do some Appalachian Mountains stuff.
Yep. It's
Possibly Tail of the Dragon.
We know where I was going.
We also like to do the motorsports aspect of it as well.
Yep.
There's Talladega, there's Barber Motorsports Park, which is amazing. If you've never been there, need to go there. The museum is amazing. But there's also a lot of cost involved in those.
Oh, yeah.
Atlanta is now turning into kind of a motorsports mecca. Porsche has one of their footings there. We definitely want to go everywhere. But as we kind of talked about too, we have to plan at least a year out.
Yeah.
A lot of times, even to do that year out, cool, you want to rent our track? Okay, that's going to be X thousands of dollars today. To lock it in for 12 months from now.
Yeah.
And with the way the world's going, that's kind of dangerous, and you don't get your money back, with stuff.
They're like, hey, thanks, appreciate it.
Yeah.
We get asked frequently, well, why would I pay you that? I can go do it with my friends for less. I'm like, well, one,
you can't
do a lot of stuff that we're doing, but it cost what it cost because of the planning and the risk. Honestly, to put on an event like that, and like Chris said,
the other thing though, and I'm sorry to interrupt you. I know you hate it, but
no,
here's what the other side of that too is like, if me and Chris are sitting there and we're like, hey man, let's go drive to LA and let's go run around. Dude, you're like 40% one of them's gonna fall out. Like somebody is not gonna end up on that trip. But like with something like this, let's say your buddy does fall out. There's still 60 other people that are going on that trip. So that's where I think that's what that side has meant. Really, the fun side of it from the outside looking in is that.
Well, the people are what makes it what it is.
I've met a bunch of people there.
The experience. The experience is made by the routes, the track time, the experiences that we plan for people, whether it's a tour of the Peterson Automotive Museum in downtown Los Angeles, or whether it's getting access to the storage facility in Burbank, California that holds Paul Walker's personal cars that we're able to get into.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Or it's just us crafting a day of driving that will just completely blow your mind. All that's great, and all that makes the experience what it is, but by far the most important element to it is people, is having really good people involved. And I think that we've done a good job attracting the right types of people from all different backgrounds. Like one of the things I always like to say is, you'll come on the event and you'll see the exotics. Like you'll see them. They're always there. The guys that own them are really cool. Like they'll talk to you all day long. They probably either own or have owned in the past whatever you're driving. Like it's just a really good group of guys. And the other thing is, you'll see that car parked next to a Honda S2000, next to a Challenger, next to
somebody's first Mustang. It's their pride and joy. They're in college. Maybe they're even in high school. And we're very cognizant of that. And that's why we've done some of the ERE series is, as we all know, painfully, being in the hobby of automotive is
Yep.
automatically super expensive.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how budget you are, even when your budget is expensive.
Yeah.
So we just want to make events that you can take that vehicle, whatever it is, truck, car, and go out with people that are like-minded.
Yep.
One of the other things we didn't talk about is we have to get insurance, like for the whole group to be able to go to tracks and stuff. That's part of the cost that people don't consider. It's complicated, but we try to make it as simple that somebody can show up on a Saturday morning or a Friday night and just let us handle all the details.
Yeah.
Yep.
And at the end of the weekend, you're like, that was amazing.
That was a blast.
And what we talked about before, it's the people. Like
Yep.
on a Saturday night, we'll show up at a hotel after dinner, or we'll go to dinner as a group, and just talking to other like-minded automotive people, you find out so much. And there's a lot of business connections that have been made from this. Some people I know have,
So what you're saying is a networking event, and
It
we need
is.
more
Yeah,
cool
it
car
is, for
people
sure.
in it.
yes, yeah, and of any age, kind of thinking back, we've had a gentleman who had a 57 Chevy that he brought on it. You brought
That's awesome.
Stanley on it. We've had people who've brought their dad with them who
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah, we
wasn't
have.
a car person, but that was their weekend thing
Yeah.
that they
Yeah.
wanted to do, and it brought them closer together.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very much becoming a family thing now. Like every event, we have guys bringing their 6, 7-year-old kids, younger sometimes. We had a guy that did Western Express last year with how old was
They had like 2 or 3 kids in
yeah
slightly older toddlers, I would say.
yeah like
And a
2 or 3.
Subaru, and they drove
Oh
from
my
Northwest
gosh.
Arkansas.
Yeah.
Did the whole route
That's
in
awesome.
a Subaru, and had a blast.
Yeah.
And made those kind of connections. And I was literally following him in a car I had rented, just a base Audi. So I
Yeah.
flew out, but he was following a Ferrari F355 through Death Valley.
That's awesome.
With the windows down, you just hear,
Yeah.
how
Having a great time.
often are you going to do something like that?
Right?
Yeah, and that's the thing that people don't understand when you look at it on Facebook or on the website. You see
Yeah.
a list of what we're doing and the price, and that doesn't always translate to the experience.
Oh, yeah,
and,
for sure.
We try really hard to make the events affordable,
Yeah.
but they are expensive to put on. There is a lot of risk that goes into it, and so the pricing reflects that. And I always take a step back, and I ask Chris frequently and other people. I'm like, hey, we're thinking about this event. Would you pay this for this experience?
Yeah.
And
I've been on a few of those questions.
we've never had. I've had maybe 3 people
Yep.
in 5 years, and hundreds of people doing these events that came back and said that they didn't think it was worth what they paid
Wow.
for it.
That's awesome.
And I think that those are the type of people too that they're they felt like that because something happened, or
Yeah.
it's just not for them.
Yeah.
And so that's fine. It's not for everyone.
Yeah.
I don't.
It's for all the fun kids.
You don't have to do our events. I'm fine if you don't. But by that same token, if you've never done one,
Yeah.
don't assume that your presumptions are correct.
Yeah.
At least come and do it, and then say that it's not for you. Because we
Yeah.
literally have people from the age of 70 until, hey, I've been wanting to do this for 2 years, and I just turned 16.
Yeah.
And I saved up money for my job all summer to make my mom go on this trip with me. Like,
That's awesome.
That's happened.
I can think of
So-
a couple people that would probably be that person.
Yeah. But it's fun. We still really enjoy it, and it still puts a smile on my face planning them, and Chris and I have a good time kind of working through everything. And it's honestly been a phenomenal way to meet people and network, and just really take our love and passion for cars to a new level.
Oh, yeah.
So it's been awesome.
And I don't think we actually talked about it as much, but just to put it out there for everybody, we have events that are as cheap as $200.
Yeah.
And that can be 2 people or more.
Yeah.
You're basically covering the hotel room, and then you're paying for your own gas. But $200, you get shirts. It's possible to win a cash prize, like the karting event. There was a $500 cash prize.
That's cool.
So that was kind of nice. And then we have some of the area events are in the $400 to $500 range for those that are not familiar with it. And then our once in a lifetime events are like Northwestern Express, which leaves out of Portland or Seattle area. You have to get your car up there or rent a car, but those are going to be bucket list things where we've actually completely shut down a public road, a very scenic public road, specifically to have a blast driving your car up there. We've been to Pikes Peak. We've done a lot of different things. Those ones are inching up to $1,500, but that's a 3 or a 4 day major summer event.
And it's all like, I mean, I don't think on the ones I've been on, I don't think we ever stayed in anything less than like a 4-star hotel. I mean, it wasn't.
Yeah.
So.
It's a good experience. Like we want to make sure the experience is consistent.
Yeah.
So you're not going to pay $400 for an event and then show up at like
the
Hotel 6.
Yeah, days in.
It's not going to happen. We think about everything. Like we want you to be able to walk to where you're going to get dinner. From the hotel. So
and that's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
I've been to dinner with a few of the guys that are on this.
There's some serious bench racing that goes on sometimes, which is, part of the deal.
Is that what we call drinking heavily? Is bench racing?
We enjoy ourselves. We've made a few missteps over the years on some of the extra events that we've planned. Like we've done distilleries. We've done open bars before at places.
Hey, the distillery was a good time.
It's made for great story, and nothing bad has ever happened or anything like that. But it's just people become friends real quick when you're getting 30 shots of whiskey.
And all those events. We did driving during the day. Parked the car at the hotel. We even supply shuttle buses if it's not within walking area.
We will rent buses that take people from the hotel to the event. Like no one is driving or anything like that for this.
That's awesome.
So then we have we're leaving at noon on Sunday. So just give everybody some time to reflect a little bit.
What was the first Express Rally? Like what was
Holiday Hoon 2015? We went to Kansas City.
Sweet. No, but I mean, like Holiday Hoon, that was like a December.
Right before
we
Christmas.
did that. We did that kind of before we started doing the toy drive with you. That was kind of we only did 2 events a year. We did Southern Express and we did Holiday Hoon.
That's awesome.
And
Southern Express was like June then, right?
It was October the first year. We did 1 in June. We've done 2 in June actually. And that's then the rest of them have been in October. That event almost always has a track component to it. Like the one this year, we have Hallett, and then we're going to Texas Motor Speedway.
Dang.
And then we're also going to do karting, kind of one of the places
that's cool.
We found a few weeks ago on the karting event.
And that's Southern Express 2020.
Yes. Yeah. First weekend in October. We have... There's 40 spots. I think we have 37 filled. So
that's awesome.
Couple
and dude, there's a lot of times like you'll post something like on the Express Rallies, drivers only group. It's like, hey, we're fixing to open this to registration, and it never makes it public. Because like it's already filled and people have paid their deposits.
Yeah, we kind of created that group because we wanted to keep the community aspect going throughout the year rather than just having it, the group of people from this event or that event.
Oh yeah.
And it also serves as a good sounding board for me and Chris. We can bounce ideas off of people in there. It's very informal. Anyone can be part of it. Like, if you request to be a member, it's just Express Rally, drivers only. It's the name of the group. But we'll welcome you. Like we do pre-sales for our merchandise, for shirts, kind of stuff in there. And then you also get the opportunity to pre-register for events. So we'll usually post them in there 2 or 3 weeks before they go live on the website. And what's starting to happen now is a lot of the introductory events, like the Express Rally Essential Series, the ones that are in the 300 to 400, I guess some are a little bit more than that range. Like we have 50 to 60 spots in some of those, and they will literally sell out in a couple weeks. Before I can even get it on the website.
That's great.
And it's been nice to have that and feel like we're building a good base of people, and it grows every year. That's one of the great things about having all these events in Northwest Arkansas is that it's a wonderful marketing tool for me that I don't have to pay for. Like people go to Cars and Coffee, or they
see
go
the ER
to
stickers and
any of the drives, or they see people rolling around town with the stickers on them,
Yep.
and it's just a conversation
And they know,
starter.
yeah.
They're like, "Hey, what is that?" Like I've seen that around.
I think that actually that's how I met Nick.
Klosowski.
Yep, I met him at the Walmart to go or whatever the hell it's called, Walmart Express. I was going in, he was coming out, and I saw the ER sticker on his 4Runner.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, we stood there and talked 10 minutes.
Yeah, it was crazy. So last weekend we actually had that ER Cup series. We were
Yep.
down in Dallas, and halfway driving back in McAlester, Oklahoma, of all places, we ran into the Adventure Series team. There were about 6 or
that's
7 of the group that were up in Northwest Arkansas that were driving back to Dallas.
Wow.
So that's kind of when we're like, wow, we're doing something right.
Yeah,
when
right.
Two completely different groups run into each other in the middle of nowhere in Oklahoma.
Yeah, they were doing a scouting run for some of our Adventure Series events.
That's awesome.
We had a group of them came up from Texas and met Aaron Greenfield, who's the guy that really helps organize and
That's cool.
creates a lot of our routes for Adventure Series. But yeah, it's kind of hilarious. You just sort of pass it. It's like, oh, there's my people.
That's
completely
cool.
different ends of the
Yep.
spectrum.
Yeah.
That's
but
awesome. So
it's
let's stay on that topic for a minute. Like how did Adventure Series kind of come into play? And then I've got an extra question I'm gonna ask
Okay.
there too.
So I've always been a Land Cruiser
Yeah.
person. I've daily driven them. I've always had them over the years, and I've enjoyed off roading. Like when my wife and I were younger, we did a lot of camping and things like that together. And so after 4 years of these express rally events,
Yeah.
just road rally events, I bought another Land Cruiser, and I was just thinking, why I used to just go out and enjoy it, but I felt like there was something missing
Yeah.
from in our events, and because we have lots of friends who also have Jeeps or they have
Off-road.
4Runners
Yeah.
or something that they want to enjoy, and they enjoy it. It just has nothing to do with what we're doing.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, why don't we just take the same principles that make our road rally events successful and just apply it to off-roading?
And part of what you were saying earlier about how do I make my hobby pay for my hobby? I mean, now that you have a Land Cruiser, you're suddenly noticing off-road events, and you're kind of getting back into that
and
realm.
to be fair to myself, like that Land Cruiser stayed exactly like it was for like 2 years. Like we had to build the brand to a place that we could then attract
Yeah.
sponsors that saw
Yeah.
value in helping build a vehicle
Yep.
to promote the events
That's awesome.
and their brand.
Yep.
And so that's what we did. We spent 2 years really figuring out how to do those. We had our first event went well, and just so people are aware, the format's really simple. It's 2 days, 1 night. Day 1, you're taking basically county roads and dirt roads from one location to the next. You're staying in a hotel overnight, having a group dinner that evening, and the next day we rent out an off-road park and we go to the off-road
That's
park,
awesome.
and we provide guides, spotters, everyone. We want the people who have been doing this for a while and just want to experience it in a new way, or guys who maybe they have a Tacoma or they have a TRD Pro 4Runner,
Yeah.
or
Bought a brand new Jeep.
Yeah.
that they want to take it off road and like experience it, but they don't want to break it. They
Well,
don't want to flip it over. So
And
we
really
have
a lot, like, especially if it's their first time to be out,
Yeah.
they don't know what to look for.
Yeah,
things
and
like
we
that, so
have
that's cool.
we have guides and different levels of trails that are
Yeah.
set up for people to have whatever
That's
experience they want, and it's the feedback we've received has been just really positive.
Yeah.
And so that event has grown every year. We've had 50 vehicles the first year. Last year we had 60, and it's one of my favorite events of the year
Yeah.
just because it's so different. But the community aspect of it is the same.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where we're doing it the right way when
Yeah.
you're changing the event completely, but the thing that makes Express Rally successful is exactly the same whether you're doing road rally stuff or
That's
off-road
awesome.
stuff. And
So,
so it's been cool to see that.
So, and now you've gone next level with it even as well, and your Overland series now. Overlanding, for everybody that listens to our stuff, probably has no idea what overlanding
Car
is.
camping.
Yeah, it's
You
car
have a
camping.
tent in your car or a ground tent that you stuffed in there, and
Yeah.
there's no hotels. You're doing everything out in the woods. You're camping,
awesome.
cooking food, all that stuff. So, yeah, we have overlanding events that are focused on that experience where you spend 3 days just doing pretty gnarly trails in the woods.
That's
those,
cool.
those are much more technical.
Yeah. Probably gonna need some experience.
Yes.
So do an adventure series first, and then do overlanding.
Yeah.
Now, how many adventure series events a year do you think you'll end up doing? I mean, 2 or 3.
So yeah, we will do probably 2 of the traditional ones where we have a hotel and it's kind of one day on trails and another day at the off-road park. And then we're going to do 2 or 3 overlanding events just
that's
because
cool.
they're much smaller. We only have about 15 to 20 vehicles that do those.
Oh, that's awesome.
Just because of the logistics and
Yep.
it's a lot easier for us to manage it, provide food and all
Yeah.
that stuff for everyone. But the other thing with that is we're really wanting to expand that outside of Arkansas. So
Yeah.
we've done it in the Ozark National Forest, and we have events that are going to be happening in the Ouachitas and
Yep.
Mark Twain National Forest. But next year we're going to take it to Colorado, and we're going to do one in Telluride and
That's cool.
Ouray in that area. So that's really the focus of those events is going to be more so out west.
Gotcha. So what you're saying is, I'm gonna get some mountain bike time in
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
that's my
and
biggest thought with that
just
stuff.
just to wet your whistle a little more
Yeah.
about that, we teamed up with Progressive Trail Design and
Yeah.
Hub Bike Lounge, and Dig Clothing Company, and the Buffalo Outdoor Center and Lifson Designs, and the Black Elk Media guys are all in this too. But we're gonna do an event that's just completely family friendly
That's awesome.
at the Buffalo Outdoor Center, where people can enjoy mountain biking, hiking, kayaking. You know,
Okay, I'm in.
we
So,
want it to be just
invoice
something
me that one, I'm
people
gonna
want
send it
to
over.
people want to bring their families to, and it'll be a really easy day of
Yeah.
dirt roads down there. You can bring your Subaru Outback if that's what
Yeah.
you have, and then spend most of the time at the outdoor center.
You
just
might,
spending
you might
time
want to
together.
put some dust covering.
Yeah. I need to be the lead car.
Yeah. We've given awards out for some people that had Jeeps with no roof or anything
Oh.
on it, and literally pounds of dirt
Yeah.
came off of them
I
at the end
can
of the
only
day. So,
Yeah, for sure.
That's
and
awesome.
I did want to point out too, as a motorcycle owner and enthusiast, the Overland series. There's a
Yeah.
couple of guys that were crazy enough that have BMW adventure bikes.
Yeah.
Oh,
And they
yeah, I
brought
didn't think
all
about
their
that.
gear, just like the guys with Jeeps or Land
Yeah.
Cruisers or whatever, and
I like
they set
those
up their
guys.
tent, and like I'm all about that too. Like,
Yeah, those
that's
guys,
cool.
so
those
it's not
guys
just
are
about
rad.
having an off-road truck. You
Yeah.
could have a motorcycle. You could
Yeah.
and bring the Narx car, like whatever.
Yeah, I didn't think about the dust aspect of that. Be wearing respirators and shit so we can live.
Yeah. We've had people who made that realization about halfway through.
Yeah, they're
And,
like, oh my God.
Yeah, but
That's
they still had a
awesome.
blast.
It's fun. It's a different kind of fun, but it's fun, and I feel like it's a nice compliment to our
Yeah.
brand.
So,
I-
and what's cool is to be able to take, what you guys know from the, like, performance car aspect. I mean, not that all cars that attend ER events are performance, but from that aspect to be able to then move it into your other lifestyle hobby,
yeah, it's the same. You just are doing a different type of
Right?
vehicle and planning a little bit different, but I like that our brand has appeal on so many different levels. Like,
Yeah.
one of the things we tried to hit with the karting event was, let's just do a really budget friendly event that you don't even need a car if you want to
Yeah.
be part of this community. And so,
Well, and I think even in talking to Chris one time was like, it's January or it's like February or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing going on
Yeah.
car wise anyways.
yep.
So,
it's a good way to stay connected with everyone
Yeah.
and, have a little fun, have a little friendly competition out there
Yeah.
on the track. And the winner of that gets their name on a trophy. And I think he walked away with $500 in cash.
yeah.
So it was a good way to spend
that
a
was-
Saturday.
If I'm not mistaken, that was that gentleman's first ever event.
Yeah,
That's
so
cool.
the guy
Sounds
that
cool.
won is a very good friend of my wife.
Cool.
And decided to give our events a try
shot.
for the
That's
first
cool.
time on those, and he'll be doing more. He has
Yeah.
a pretty cool collection of cars.
And I mean, there's been, I would probably say your success rate from folks coming in on ERE events to then upgrade to the other stuff is probably pretty high.
Yeah, the issue
If
is we
there's
just
a
don't have
spot
space.
available,
Yeah,
yeah,
the
yeah.
issue is really the space. Like we
Yeah.
have. I'd say in a given year we probably push 300 or 400 people through the events.
God, that's awesome.
And we have taking away the staff spots in like Southern Express. There's 34 spots available.
That's awesome.
And usually people every year
are like, hey, put me on next year.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the spots that come available, they go very quickly.
Yeah.
To the point where we've actually had people who live in the West Coast or live in other places fly in specifically to do the events, rent a car, they hook them up with a car or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just because of other events that they've done.
They've done a Western Express or Northwest, and they're like, I'm going to come out there and
I want to see your roads.
Yeah, I've never been to Arkansas. I have no idea what the roads are like and all that kind of stuff, and vice versa. That people go to California that've never been to California before, which roads out there are awesome also.
Yeah.
One of the things that we didn't really talk about, but as you were saying, we kind of span all areas, is the term that we use a lot that covers it is Southern drive culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's a Land Cruiser, if it's a performance car, if it's a motorcycle, if it's a hot rod, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Like, we want you to be a part of the group. We want people to contribute to it and bring whatever interesting things that you have. Right. I mean, you're a perfect example of it, of all the different projects and stuff that you and your brother have been able to do. We love having you as a part of that group. We would love to have anybody else who's interested.
Yep.
By all means, don't think that you have to have a car of a certain horsepower range. You have to have a Jeep built to a certain level.
Yeah.
Nope.
It's more about being part of the group, and the rest kind of takes care of itself.
Yep.
Yeah, we have never. It's funny because I know that we have this perception. I have heard from people outside of our group, well, I thought that you could only do that if you had a super nice car. It's like, in 5 years, I have never turned anyone away.
Yeah.
I think that we do a good job marketing.
Yeah.
And so sometimes that can have an adverse effect where people feel like, oh, I don't have anything like that. It's like, well, you don't need that. Just come and be part of us.
Have fun. Yeah.
Yes.
Be part of that. So what would be like your dream, not you hosting it, but what would be your dream rally? Like what would that look like?
So we've talked about that, and I actually had something planned this year, and then things went south, which was we haven't been to Europe, and obviously there's a lot of enthusiast community in Europe. We were going to go to the Nürburgring. That's a big bucket list. What I want to do. So we actually we're going to fly over. Just my wife and I.
Yep.
We were going to go to the Nürburgring, take a ride, and I think I had signed up at a McLaren.
Oh yeah.
To ride along with it.
Yep.
And then the next day was an F1 race at Spa.
That's awesome.
And then we were going to get on a boat for a 2-week cruise of Europe. Well, things didn't work out with everything. They actually canceled the cruise because the boat wasn't going to be ready. Obviously, stuff going on with
So then you snowball backwards from there.
Yeah, so it kind of went backwards from there. But Scott and I have had some discussions about what if we were going to do the ultimate, what would we do?
That's awesome.
We hosted one of the movie premieres was for Le Mans, the Ford versus Ferrari and that whole piece. And so we've always been talking like our bucket list would be get an event where we could go to Le Mans one year.
That'd be awesome.
And maybe hit up Spa, go drive in Germany on the Autobahn.
Yep.
That's kind of what we're thinking. I mean,
that's awesome.
We've been very fortunate to be able to do driving up Highway 1 in California.
Yep.
Now we've done that. But that was on our bucket list of if we could go anywhere.
Yeah.
I think Europe is definitely a trip that we will do under the Express Rally banner.
That's awesome.
We just have to figure out how. And it will be an extremely small group of people. And it won't be...
You're not going to have 50 on that one.
No, it's not probably not even 20. It's going to be a group of
10 people, probably.
10, 12 husbands and wives that we want to go over there and have a healthy dose of do the car stuff we want, but also just experience the culture while we're there.
I
lived in Europe
vacation.
when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And have nothing but awesome memories of it and been able to travel there for work over the years some, but I think that's an area that I'd love to kind of add to our experience list.
That's cool.
But if you're talking about continental United States, we have a route that we've done twice from Vegas to LA that is, I think, the single best day of driving you can have in your life.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so I would like to go back out and do that just with a group of friends, not
Yeah.
related to a rally, because I
'Cause
I
the
get to
extra
enjoy
stress.
it, but I would like to do it
Yeah.
without that.
Less
Yeah.
stress.
Yeah.
Um,
yeah.
And I think I have another leg for that in mind goes further north up the California coast to the Monterey area.
Oh, cool.
And you could even extend it to Oakland, San Francisco, and that area. It would add another day. But that's a drive that I could do that drive every year and just
Yeah.
look forward to it every year.
That's awesome.
And those are the type of things that, when people get done with it, like there's still people that did that event that talk about that day of driving
That's cool.
now. And
Yeah.
that's what makes it special.
Yeah.
And then who knows? Maybe further down the road. I mean, because it's still growing, which is amazing, and we love it. But I've always loved to go to New Zealand. Imagine if we did an adventure series in New Zealand or
Oh,
Australia.
man. Yeah.
Like one of the cool things is we get so many great connections
Yep.
in the weirdest places.
Yeah.
It's entirely possible that we could get a connection in Australia or whatever that could hook
Yeah.
us up with, an outfitting gear or whatever, and you could fly in and get a Jeep
then
or a
just
Land
roll.
Cruiser or
That'd be
whatever.
cool.
And that to me is like, sign me up. Even if it's 3 years out and I'm paying every year,
Yep.
Yeah.
it's like,
That's
all right,
cool.
I've lived as a car person then.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. So
I like that y'all's brain thinks like that. There's so many times that people like y'all built. I mean, a hell of a brand, but like then that next level of thought is generally where people fall off. So it's awesome to hear you guys talk about that.
Yeah, I don't think you can be content with
Yeah.
anything. Like it can always be better.
Yep.
You can always innovate. You can always, we're in business for what I do for a living. You always have to be thinking of new ideas and things to engage your customers and to keep things fresh.
Yeah.
And like I said, there are a ton of automotive events. There are a ton of rallies.
Yeah.
I've done some of the other rallies years ago, and you can tell if someone is not engaged in it.
Yeah.
You can tell if they're not passionate about it.
Yeah.
And like I really enjoy every year, what new events we're going to add, how we're going to mix things up. And then I like going back and doing some of the events we've done before because like we haven't done a runway. We haven't done a 3 mile long runway in a couple of years.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that doesn't get boring.
No,
Like,
not
I can
at
do
all.
that every couple of years and have a good time.
What did Brian run that day? Like 203 or something
remember.
crazy?
We had a couple
Hey.
cars over 200 miles an hour.
Hey,
for
we
sure.
ran 129 in that damn Chevy Impala.
Shout
Yeah, we
out
had-
to, was it Hertz or something?
we had to get you guys out of the group photo. For
Yeah, that
one.
was a great one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always fun to think of new stuff.
Yeah.
And Chris and I, like you said, we meet about every other week to just
Yeah.
talk about what's going on and
That's awesome.
to talk about ideas. And he sees things that I don't see, and I, vice versa. So it's nice to be able to just kind of grow it and
Yeah.
morph it over the years.
Yeah.
And now it's way bigger than I could have ever imagined that it.
Yeah, and I
It
mean
would be-
that takes forethought. Like you had like, I can see Scott now. He's sitting there drinking whatever you drink out on the back porch of the house.
Whiskey.
No kids. He's just sitting out there. He's like, man, what can we do next? He's like, done 2 successful events. What are we gonna? And it just keeps snowballing. And it's like, man, I need to bring people in to help me do this.
Yeah.
To help grow it, to help go that next level.
And
Yeah.
honestly, 90% of the ideas that we have are directly from the people who've joined us on the events.
That's awesome.
I can tell you that Saturday night or that Friday night where we're
Yeah.
all kind of winding down in the hotel, we're all talking cars and stuff, and then
Yeah.
it inevitably comes up of what would be your ultimate drive?
Yeah.
What would be your ultimate car?
Yeah.
What type of event could we do? And then, as we kind of talked about,
Go on to the next.
we're very fortunate to find people who can help us make those things happen.
That's cool.
So
A lot of it is just knowing people
yeah.
and having the right connections so that you can do some of the stuff.
Yeah.
And
Like runways in Central
yeah,
Arkansas.
it's been really fun to make
Yeah.
those connections and get to know those guys.
That's awesome.
And I think anytime you connect with someone else who's just genuinely passionate about this hobby that we have, you just connect with them.
Well, and the other side of that too is like people can be on, like the, what did Robert and I go on last time? The Southern, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, you can, like you're showing up, and I mean, folks were driving like Audi R8s and the McLaren that Wynn had. I mean, like, but you know, those cars would scare you away from talking to those people. But dude, those folks on the events are so nice.
Yeah.
So,
And
everybody's open because like you're engulfing yourself in the car scene for the weekend.
One of the things that is my favorite of all the events when we do it, which happens pretty much every year, we roll into some small town somewhere on our route.
Oh man!
And we take over a gas station. It's kind of our thing. It's part of the stops. And people come out of the woodwork who have never seen a Lamborghini in person, or who have never seen an Audi or whatever. And it's not uncommon at all. Not required, but not uncommon for the owners of those cars to embrace those kids, let them sit in the cars, take their picture. And now we've brought, hopefully, another person, car enthusiast, has been born.
Yeah.
That's what we as a group love doing.
Oh, for sure. So you guys have started your podcast. Mm-hmm. How many episodes have you recorded?
6 is what we have.
That's
we have
awesome.
4 out. So the plan is for them to come out every week.
Yeah.
Cool.
We have some very distinguished guests lined up, like yourself.
I'm excited. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it will. And you know, we've always wanted to do it. We just haven't actually sat down and done it. And so we decided that we would do it. Our third host is Daniel Mitchell. He's one of the owners of Black Elk Media and a car
distinguished
guy.
driver.
Yeah.
He actually,
Yeah.
with that, you'll have to listen to some of our podcasts to hear about that. But he's one of the top 10 drivers in the U.S. in esports, which I didn't even know, and I've known Daniel for a couple of years.
That's awesome.
So he brings the whole. I don't necessarily have a performance-oriented vehicle, but I'm right with you guys as far as the love of driving.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
I was kind of listening to his backstory in one of the podcasts I was listening to today.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of local guests on. I mean, like yourself and just guys that have
and girls that have been around the area.
Guys and girls that have owned some pretty cool cars over the years, and just maybe they don't even own a cool car. They just have an interesting job, or there'd be someone that is intriguing to talk to, and then. The other thing that we plan on doing is we have been able to connect with some people that are really well known names that would we think our listeners would enjoy hearing their backstory and a little bit more about them. And so we're gonna have them on the podcast as well, and it's just gonna be a way for us to hang out and talk and everything from people who are a household name to normal guys like us that are just enjoying the hobby the best we can.
And I think we talked about this a little bit before we started recording, but I mean, podcasting is, I feel like it allows people into like an aspect of, like they're not having to stream a video or something like that. And, they can plug it in on their phone and do regular work all day and then play this thing in the background. So,
yeah, my work day is just steadily filled with podcast or YouTube videos that are essentially podcasts that are just done on YouTube, but it's a lot of the media I consume is that way, and I enjoy it. Like it's I like having long form conversations rather than what you see so much now on social media or anywhere else where
it's 5 or 6 minutes.
You're trying to just pack information in there, and you really don't get to know someone or really get to learn a lot about what's actually happening. And like, I got plenty of time I can sit and listen and do other work while I'm doing that. So yeah, I enjoy it. It's been a lot of fun.
So what's the future hold for Express Rally?
It's a tough question.
Well, we talked about it a little bit. I mean, obviously we're gonna go east.
Yep.
We're also on the Adventure Series side. We'll start going out of state. So Colorado, maybe Utah. We have some connections that can do some really cool things in the West Coast. We'd love to start expanding to Europe and do some flyaway, things. I have a passion for kind of motorsports, so we may go in that route too, or maybe we go and do a drive weekend that actually ends up at a race at a famous racetrack. Or
that'd be cool.
So yeah, I mean as we talked about before, it's the future for us is just thinking of all the things that we or the people in our group
Yep.
would want to do, yourself included, and let's make it happen.
Right.
Yeah, I think, and I don't say this to be, corny, but it's unlimited. Like we can
Yeah.
do whatever it is that we want to do with it
Right.
within reason.
Yeah.
But I think that we have a really great, base of participants so far that
Yeah.
have done events with us all around the country. I think that again we've built an experience that's predictable, so people know, hey, when you pay,
Yeah.
you're gonna have a good.
You're gonna have a
experience.
good time.
It's going to be.
Yeah.
You're not gonna show up and be disappointed.
Right.
That
I'll
doesn't
agree with that
happen.
100%.
And so I think with that we're able to do things that are a little bit more risky.
Yeah.
And that when I say risky, that means going out of the state that
Your
we're
comfort
in.
area. Yeah.
Going out of the South, doing
Yeah.
something on the East Coast, doing more events on the West Coast and in the Pacific Northwest. I think you'll see an expansion of our off-road stuff just because overlanding and off-roading is just
Yeah, blowing
extremely popular right now. I think you'll see more events like the one that Chris talked about before, where it's
Yeah.
karting and it's just really budget and family friendly for people
Yeah.
because they're fun. It's nice to have an event like that you're just hanging out together.
Yep.
The logistics are easy and it's just a good time.
Yep. You're figuring
and
out
then the
hotel
other
and how to
thing-
get there. And
Yeah, the other thing that we're going to try to do more of is just social events during the year.
Yeah.
That they don't cost anything. You just show up and you're hanging out with people
Yeah.
that are part of the group.
That's awesome.
And we're, I think last year we did monthly family dinners at
Yeah.
one of our sponsors, Old Chicago. We did that. We're going to do that again this year. And I think we're going to try to make an effort to do more like 1-day drives. Like just do a
Like a pop-up drive.
yeah.
If the weather's really
Meet in the
nice,
yeah, just
Yeah.
go.
one weekend,
That's cool.
we can dust off one of the routes that we know is pretty solid in the area,
Yeah.
and everybody just meet up at the gas
Yeah.
station. Let's do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go grab
Yeah.
one of our photographers and
That's
throw
cool.
them in and
Yep.
get some good shots and just have.
Yeah, one of
Yep.
kind of to hint about that. One of the ones that we did a rally and it went through the Talamina Scenic Byway, and the weather wasn't ideal, and that's one of the challenges that we have
That was
sometimes.
awful.
When you plan it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you just kind of have to hope. And that one, it was really foggy, it was really rainy. The roads were great, but you couldn't see 10 feet in front of your car.
Yeah.
So that's on the short list to make right this spring sometime. Is
That's
you know,
cool.
So yeah, and even if you've not done any of our rallies, like Scott mentioned before, hit us up on Facebook. That's where we're primarily at now. Is
Yeah.
Express Rally Drivers Only. Get in and start that dialogue.
Meet
and
the
then
folks.
there are some people who have now moved off of social media, and I totally get that.
Yeah.
And so we're also thinking, how can we engage those members who aren't on social media but still
Yeah.
want to be a part of it? So that was kind of the podcast was one of those aspects.
Yeah.
We might do like an email distribution list or something
Yeah.
like that, where even if you're disconnected from all that, you still want to be included.
Yeah. You want to.
So we're trying to do that kind of stuff too,
Pre-order
because
stuff is
I
coming.
totally get that.
That's
yeah,
cool.
and you can find us on Facebook under Express Rally, Instagram Express Rally, our website's expressrally.com. There's tons of videos,
everywhere.
photos. If you're like, this sounds interesting, I'd kind of like to see more about
Yeah.
it. We have tons of videos out there
Yeah.
from the guys that do them for us, and lots of YouTubers have done our events.
Yep.
So you'll get a little bit of everything out there if you're just kind of curious what the experience is like. I think even you have some videos about
Yeah.
some of our
Yeah. And
past.
Robert keeps kicking my ass because I haven't edited the Southern 2019 or probably 2018 video now, whatever it was. So,
Yeah.
yep.
And a lot of our events are a great way to that's a destination thing. Like when I built the Exoset,
Yep.
I specifically, my goal was to make it in time to be able to do, I think it was Southern. When
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And so that's a motivation. And I know you're working on the Narx cart and you're doing
Yep.
other things. And whenever we can make those as destination
Yep.
things to bring out whatever craziness you've created, we love to see it.
Yep.
You should bring Narc's Cart on Adventure Series, but not actually take it on trails on day 2, like ride with someone,
Yeah.
but just drive it on day 1.
Yeah.
Because I would love nothing more than to see you completely covered in dirt.
Yeah. It'd be awesome.
Every time
It would
you
be
touched
awesome.
the seats, dirt would just come out of
Yeah.
them.
Yep.
It'd be great.
Yep.
I think you really
I
enjoy
agree.
that.
And I think that's what that car is going to be for us. It's just, we're going to literally just have tons and tons and tons of content from that car. And that's what it was for. And I mean, that's why we're giving it away, so somebody else can take it and then they can enjoy it and have fun in it and all that kind of stuff. So, and we'll build another one and another one and another one and another one behind it. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And then people on the YouTube video won't see it, but we've got the MG over there in the corner. We are putting it in the storage for a little while till we can get some stuff moved out of the way in the shop, and then we'll be back on it. And its goal is a southern event at a track, so it won't make it this year, but hopefully 2021. And I mean, it's got a hood stack and it's 1,700 pounds and 300 horsepower, and it'll be a lot of fun.
It'll be a good time.
Yeah, it'll be a blast. We're going to build a trailer for it and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, there's definitely thought process is in our mind of how we can build stuff to have fun on these events and all that kind of stuff. So, I think the only thing before we shut it down, because we've probably recorded long enough and my back is hurting from sitting on these stools. Now, I did not know this until probably a year ago, but you have done a coast to coast run, right? You've ran the gumball.
We've done a run, but not like anything
Officially sanctioned.
official.
Yeah, not hard. Just to do it because you got to get it under your belt. The only reason I'm bringing this up is because Robert and I are planning it in the near future, especially with nobody on the roadways.
I would say that it's fun just to do it, to do it, like pulling into the Portofino. Like that's, I don't know.
Like you expected this big build up and you pulled in, it was just a parking lot.
Yeah, it's nothing.
Yeah.
You're just like, thank God we had made it.
Yeah. But
And
it's
I'm hungry and I have to go to the restaurant.
Yeah.
Right.
It's equally rewarding and sucky.
Yeah.
But it's it's a good experience.
What did you make that drive in?
It wasn't anything close to the time, like maybe.
No. I'm
30.
not talking about that. I'm like, what was it? What car? What car did you go in?
Oh, Genesis.
Oh, sweet. That's cool.
Yeah,
That's
it was
awesome.
my 2015 V8 Genesis with all the goodies on it.
Yeah. So it's comfortable, easy, cruise across. Who all went with you?
I'm not going to disclose any of that.
Oh, okay.
There's a statute of limitations.
Yeah, it's like,
Some people
some people may not need everybody to know all that.
No.
they were sick at work and,
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I'll not name any names, but it was a fun experience.
That's cool. Yeah, that's what our goal is, to just enjoy the trip and have that off the list. We're definitely not going for a time the first time going across.
What are you going to take?
We're building a black minivan for a black Grand Caravan. So Robert already owns the van, and windows are blacked, and we're going to look like FBI coming across the country. So no chrome or anything.
What year
like that.
is the van?
It's like 2015.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're not going to look like FBI like circa 1985.
No, I wish.
That would've been
Y'all know
awesome.
me.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of 1985 vans. So it'd be great to creep across in a full size Chevrolet van, But
I saw somebody today was like Dom DeLuise needs to come
Yeah.
back.
Yep. Captain Chaos.
Yeah, they
Yep.
just showed the picture of it. They're
Yep.
like, now is the time.
Yep.
I don't disagree. I will say though, like if you can't do full cross country,
Yep.
for anybody that's listening or whatever, I really, really enjoyed. I started here and
Yep.
drove our personal car out to LA in one shot, just myself. Stopped in Albuquerque.
By yourself?
Yeah.
Dude, you're
So
nuts.
two days. It was like 28 hours or something like that.
Great time just to think and reflect.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't need that much time by myself.
I enjoyed it.
Oh,
Obviously,
yeah.
we were going out there to get the car out there for a rally, but
Yep.
quite honestly, I enjoyed that as much as the rally in a
Yep.
different way.
Why couldn't you spend that much time by yourself? You got a dirty conscience
Man,
and some
listen,
demons?
I'm going to tell you, there's some stuff in there we don't need to unlock for that amount
Fair
of
enough.
time.
Fair enough. But
Be like,
as you get
about
in,
halfway through New Mexico, what the hell? Turn up music, turn louder.
yeah. Well, I mean, with all the podcasts out there nowadays, you
Yeah,
always have something
just
to
turn
listen
one
to.
of them on.
Yep,
So,
exactly.
But yeah, I mean, for people that are thinking about that, you just do a 12-hour run somewhere and back.
Yeah.
Especially now with the roads are a whole lot clearer than it is.
yeah, well, and you
Colorado,
could probably
Colorado.
you could probably make it to Pikes Peak in 12
Yeah.
or 13.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
that was a really enjoyable experience. That was one of the rallies we did. We ended at the top of Pikes Peak.
Oh man, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's a route that I think we'll do again. Maybe even next year we'll just recycle
Yeah.
that route. Maybe do it in reverse. Start in Denver, hit Pikes Peak,
That's cool.
Park City, Utah, and then end in Vegas. So
If you can go through Colorado and not hit interstates, it's a
Yeah.
For those who've been out there, it's
Oh,
a
I
whole
can
different
imagine.
ball game.
Yeah.
Going through some of those small towns and stuff.
That's cool.
Um,
All right. Well, I'm gonna let y'all's asses rest. These stools are hard. I appreciate you guys coming on. It was a lot of fun.
yeah, absolutely.
So and
Anytime.
if,
We'll have
if
you on
people
ours in a
are
couple weeks.
yeah, if people are still listening, then definitely go follow the Express Rally podcast. I mean, you guys are everywhere, just like us. It's on every major podcast thing. Find them on the website,
Yeah.
just like Scott said earlier. So, Facebook, Instagram, so all that kind of stuff.
For sure.
Cool.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Yeah, it was fun.